in order to grow, you need conversation. You have to talk. Without talking, you can't grow, you can't understand anyone. So the critical conversations is needed, and we're here to spearhead it in a live Q&A, open mic. So what better way to do it than that? Like, let people express themselves and hear differences. So you might agree and you might not agree, but there will be differences, and we have to be able to accept that people do think differently than we do, and then move on and grow from it.
I really feel like Jacksonville just needs more events to kind of get the whole community together. Things like the Florida-Georgia game are great because you get to kind of see everybody that's out here and have that experience together. And I think more things like that could get us all together would really help the city.
Educated students, just to empower the community and see how we can be more innovative, efficient, and more productive in life. And not having a more reactive side of life, but more proactive side of life.
When I think about Jacksonville, the greatest need for our community is love and guidance from our community leaders.
And I think Jacksonville needs more entertainment downtown. I think we need more innovative and artful things for our citizens to do, more nightlife, more restaurants, just anything to draw people to downtown.
I really feel that one of the greatest issues facing Jacksonville is equal access to education, and I think a lot of that stems from poverty. Jacksonville has one of the highest rates of poverty in the Southeast, and so I think that's an issue that our community needs to address. I think a lot of things are being done to address that.
When I think about Jacksonville, I think the greatest need is unity.
Personally, what I think Jacksonville needs is more dedicated teachers in the schools, and that goes from preschool all the way up to college, to teach these kids, because I've been in class with some of my students and they're so far behind in math, reading, and it's really a shame.
I think Jacksonville needs a lot more activities that are totally inclusive of everyone at every level, every economic level, every background. Like, we have some good events like Art Walk and everything, but I still think that doesn't really bring people downtown and together as much as more organized activities.
I believe that Jacksonville needs better real estate as far as making the buildings that have been abandoned and condemned to reform them into better, more beautiful structures, which will also help the crime rate and stop a lot of the illegal activities happening inside them.
What I think Jacksonville needs is a better transportation system for people with disabilities. I ride the JTA buses, and sometimes they take way too long. There was one time that they couldn't find me a driver and I had to rely on my father to come and pick me up, and I feel like that is an issue throughout the entire thing. I've had to wait an hour. I've heard people have had to wait several hours for the bus to get there, and I feel like that's an issue.
What I see is economics in Jacksonville because of the great potential that this city has, and actually it's untapped potential. We've got a great natural river that runs through the middle of the city. I can see industry, restaurants, building up all around that and making it a destination point, for Jacksonville. I think that's what the city needs.
My initial thought is to just, stay involved over the next 6 months and make sure I try to come to that supper in the spring and listen to the results of the research.
At the beginning, I did have my doubts about it, and I did, it changed my whole perspective when I sat there and listened to them. I realized that it's not just about black or white, or it's not just about the flag, or it's just not, it's not, everybody has their own different type of views and their own different type of opinions, and that brought me to an understanding today that everybody should come together, everybody should unite as one.
What I think we need to do to become a better city is just to bridge the gap. We need to bridge the gap of division. There's a lot of division here in Jacksonville, but it's not only in Jacksonville, it's actually nationwide. And we've got to bring communities together. This dialogue tonight is a great starting point for us to have, because we've got to start with a dialogue. You got to start with a conversation. You got to get people involved. We got to talk about things that are uncomfortable. We've got to address the elephant that's in the room. We've got to do all these things, hash it out, whether we agree with everything or not. We've got to be able to be adults about it. We can also agree to disagree. that's the beginning of progress.
So we talked about racial issues, education, mental health, and law enforcement. And so just finding those different areas around our city that we're not hitting. And we're not hitting it 100% in all those areas. And events like today, we can come in and have a discussion, uncomfortable at times, to really discuss like, okay, we need to get better here. Let's find a ways to have those uncomfortable conversations so we can move forward.
I'm Jane Toria Burton. I'm one of the co-organizers of Bridging the Divide event this evening. And I want to say that when I think about my city, I think one of the greatest needs that I see is equal education. There are educational opportunities all across the city, but there are a number of disparities that you'll see from geographic area, from school to school. And there is definitely a disparity between different areas of town in terms of public education. And so I hope that this event this evening will help to spur more conversation and more action that will help to actually narrow the divide and bridge the divide in terms of coming closer to more equal access to equal education, particularly within the public school system. Thank you.